And we'll read this message again. The following Zoom session is being recorded and will appear later today on my YouTube channel, Math with Mayo. There are 2 different classes that may be observing this session. Therefore, when you participate in the Zoom meeting, if you do not wish for your picture or your name to be made public, please leave the video off and use an alias name. If you have questions during the meeting but do not wish to speak, email me at bmayo@ybcc.edu and I'll respond as soon as I can. All right, so today, eventually, we're going to cover section 4.5. But before we do that, do any of you have any questions over last night's homework from 3.7? I didn't see any emails this morning, but do any of you have any questions you'd like me to go over before we go on? Now is the time. All righty, well then we shall go on to section 4.5. And to do that, I'm going to switch screens again. And let's see here. All right, so yesterday we looked at graphing a linear inequality. What we're going to look at today is graphing a system of linear inequalities. So we're going to have 2 different linear inequalities. We're going to graph them on the same graph, and then where they intersect will be the solution of the system. So let's see here. Let's start out with this one, which is 2x plus y greater than or equal to 3. Okay, and then our second one, see here, which is x minus 2y less than or equal to -1. Okay, so let's go back to our first inequality, 2x plus y greater than or equal to 3. And I'm going to consider the equation 2x plus y equals 3. I'm going to go ahead and find a couple of points. And I'm going to just go ahead and use the x and y intercepts. I don't have to use those, but I just like to, so I will. So if y is 0, we get 2x plus 0 equals 3, 2x equals 3, x equals 3 halves. So 3 halves comma 0 is a point on the graph of 2x plus y equals 3. Okay, now we're going to find a second point. We're going to use x equals 0. So 2 times 0 plus y equals 3, or y equals 3. And you can find a third point if you want. That's up to you. In fact, let's do that. Let's go ahead and use let x equal 1. So we get 2 times 1 plus y equals 3. 2 plus y equals 3. Subtract 2 from both sides. Y equals 1. Okay. So plotting those points, x is 3 halves. Remember I said yesterday, in WebAssign, we don't want to use mixed numbers, but to locate it on the graph, I need to think of 3 halves as 1.5. So right here between 1 and 2, there is x equals 3 halves, y equals 0. Okay. Then I've got the point 0, 3, which is right about there, and the point 1, 1 right there. Also in WebAssign, we only need to plot 2 points. Okay, now, before I graph this line though, let's go back and let's look at the actual inequality. It said greater than or equal to. So because it includes equals to, we're going to graph a solid line. Okay, let's see if I can get this lined up here. And okay. All right, so there is the graph of 2x plus y equals 3. But I actually want to graph 2x plus y is greater than or equal to 3. So I need to determine which side of that line, above or below, is the shaded area. So let's pick a test point. And as I did yesterday, I'll choose 0, 0, since it's not on the actual graph. And let's see here. If I take this and I put in 0, 0, I get 2 times 0 plus 0 greater than or equal to 3, 0 greater than or equal to 3. That's not true. So that point fails, which means we're going to shade the area above the blue line. Okay? So the graph of 2x plus y greater than or equal to 3 would be the blue graph that you see there. Any questions about that graph? All right, so now we're going to graph the second inequality, the red one. I'm going to consider the equation x minus 2y equals -1. And I'll go ahead and find some ordered pairs. Again, I'm going to use intercepts just because I like to. If y is 0, we get, let's see, we get x minus 2 times 0 equals -1. So 2 times 0 is 0, x minus 0 is x, so x equals -1. If x is 0, we get 0 minus 2y equals -1. So -2y equals -1. Divide both sides by -2. -1 divided by -2 is positive 1/2. We'll go ahead and go with those two. So if x is -1 and y is 0, that's right there. If x is 0 and y is 1/2, that's right there. Okay. Now, again, this inequality includes the equals. So I'm going to graph a solid line. Let's see here. Get this lined up here. Yeah. Okay. All right. Also, I can use 0, 0 as a test point right there. So let's see what happens when we put 0, 0 into that. 0 minus 2 times 0 less than or equal to -1. 0 minus 0. Is 0 less than or equal to -1? No, 0 is greater than -1. So again, that test point fails, which means we're going to shade above the red line. All right. Any questions about the red inequality graph? Now, the solution to the system would be where the two graphs overlap. When I was a child, one of my favorite books was called The Color Kittens. I actually have a copy of it, but it's at school, otherwise I'd show you. And what it did was it taught me about colors. For instance, that's where I learned that if you mix yellow and blue, does anybody know what you get if you mix yellow and blue?
Green.
Good job. Okay, excellent. What happens if you mix red and blue? What do you get?
Purple.
Purple. Great. So here's my question. What color is the solution to this system?
Is it
Purple.
purple?
It's purple, right, because it's where the red and the blue overlap. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't look purple. I wish it did, because that would be pretty cool if we could do that, but nah, it doesn't work out that way. But anyway, so our solution is the part that is both red and blue, or that is purple, okay? So let's see, let's come in here and let's erase that. I didn't do a very good job of getting rid of all of that, but you got rid of it a little bit too much, but so this piece right here would be the solution. You've got a solid line here, a solid line there, and then everything, and this doesn't stop at the edge of the graph, it continues on out, et cetera, okay? But the solution would be where the two overlap, all right? Any questions about this example? Okay, let's go on and look at another one then. And let's see here. How about, let's do this one. 3x plus y less than or equal to 1. Oh, I got an email from one of you saying, Mr. Mayo, where do you get these problems from? Because I want to follow along with them. And I get them out of the book. And what I can do is I can tell you the page number and the problem if you want, you know, for those of you that care. But this is on page, this is out of the regular textbook. This is on page 335. And this is problem number 36. Here, I'll put a 36 up here. Okay, anyway. Let's see if I can get rid of that, make it a little better. There we go. Okay, and let's get the red one, which is 4x minus y less than or equal to -8. Okay. So I'm going to consider 3x plus y equals 1 to establish where the line is. And I'll just go ahead and keep using intercepts until it turns out that I need to do something different, if the case happens. If y is 0, I get 3x plus 0 equals 1. 3x equals 1, x equals 1/3, dividing both sides by 3. Okay, so 1/3 comma 0. And then if x is 0, I get 3 times 0 plus y equals 1, so y equals 1. So 1/3 comma 0 is about there, and 0, 1 is about there. Now, in WebAssign, because it automatically graphs things, I could deal with these two situations, but getting an accurate graph right here might be kind of difficult. So I'm going to choose another point. I'm going to let x equal 1 and see what happens. If x is 1, I get 3 times 1 plus y equals 1. 3 plus y equals 1. Subtract 3, y equals -2. And the reason I did that was so I could plot this point to make it easier to draw the straight line. Okay, now, once again, my actual inequality is 3x plus y less than or equal to 1. So I'm going to have a solid line that I'm going to draw. I'm just using the slope to establish more points to make it easier to line them up. And so that. Okay, now, yeah, I kind of missed it there, didn't I? Again, 0, 0 looks like a good test point. So I'm going to put 0, 0 in there, and I'm going to get 3 times 0 plus 0 less than or equal to 1. 0 is less than or equal to 1. So 0, 0 is part of the solution. So I'm going to graph below the blue line. Okay. Lovely looking scribbling, right? Okay, so there, so the solution to the blue inequality is the solid blue line and everything below it. It's my property and it's my fence. All right. Questions there? Let's take a look at the red inequality. So I'm going to look at 4x minus y equals -8. And again, we'll stick with the intercepts. X, Y, 0, 0. To find the x-intercept, set y equal to 0. 4x minus 0 equals -8. 4x equals -8. Divide by 4x equals -2. If x is 0, 4 times 0 minus y equals -8. Oops, negative y equals -8. Divide both sides by -1 and y equals 8. So x is -2, y is 0 is right there. X is 0, y is 8 is right there. Okay. My actual inequality, 4x minus y greater than or equal to -8, it includes the equal to. So I'm going to draw a solid line. Okay. I'm going to use 0, 0 as a test point again and plug it into there. So I get 4 times 0 minus 0 greater than or equal to -8. 0 greater than or equal to -8? Yes, it is. So for the red inequality, 0, 0 is a correct solution. So the solution of the red inequality would be this. Okay. So the solution to the system, we'll draw it in black here instead of, since I don't seem to have purple there as a color. Okay, it's going to be, let's see, it's going to be this. All right. And this. And everything in between. And again, it doesn't stop here. It continues on. But so there is the solution to the system of those two linear inequalities. Any questions there? Okay, I'm going to do one more of these, and then I'm going to look at it in WebAssign to get you to see how that works. Let's see here. How about this one? Okay. This says x is greater than or equal to -1. That's one of the inequalities. Y is greater than -2. Okay. Now, recall yesterday we talked about if you have an equation, so in this case, x equals -1, where the only variable is just x to the first degree, x equals -1 is a vertical line passing through -1. So that's going to be points on that line. Now, since it includes greater than or equal to, that is to say it includes the equals to, we're going to have a solid line. Okay. But it says the actual one says x is greater than or equal to -1. So if that solid line is x equals -1, where would greater than that be? Would it be on the left side over here or on the right side over here?
The right.
Correct. So our solution of just the blue inequality would be all of that. Okay. Now let's take a look at the red one. So this would be y equals -2. Y equals a constant is a horizontal line passing through y is -2, which is right there. So all our points are going to be y values of -2. Oh, except that the actual inequality just says y is greater than. So, and the reason I chose this problem was that so we'd finally have a dotted, or as the WebAssign calls it, a dashed line. Okay. So the horizontal line would be dashed. Now, so we're not including y equals -2. It says y is greater than -2. So would I shade above or below the dashed red line?
Above it.
Correct. Because it says y is greater than. All right. So our solution, and let's see, let's make it yellow. Let's see what if that shows up. Would be so it would include this solid line, this dotted line, and then everything. So it's basically everything in what, quadrant 1, as well as a little bit more. Any questions about that? Okay, I want to go into WebAssign now. And let's see here. So let me get in there. So I hear birds chirping. Are those real birds or is that some background?
Yeah, I'm outside.
Are they real?
Yeah.
That's okay. I like birds chirping. I heard it earlier and I thought, is that real or is it, you know, but that's just great. Okay. All right. Almost there. And here. Sorry, this is taking so long. Okay. So now, can you see problem number 5, graph the solution of the system here in WebAssign?
Yeah.
Okay. So just a second here. Let me get this up and going. And so we've got, let's see, y is greater than 2x minus 8, and y is greater than or equal to negative x minus 2. Okay, so those are the two inequalities. We're going to graph this whole system here on WebAssign eventually. But right now I'm going to go back to my whiteboard. Okay. And we're going to look at that first one, y greater than 2x minus 8. Okay. So I'm going to consider the equation y equals 2x minus 8. And let's see here. And yes, by the way, you could use slope intercept form, but I'm going to hold off on that unless somebody asks for it, because I know even though it's faster, it tends to confuse people. So if people ask for it, I'll do it that way. Otherwise, I'll stick with the finding 2 ordered pairs. All right, if y is 0, we get 0 equals 2x minus 8. Let's see, let's add 8 to both sides. 8 equals 2x, divide by 2, 4 equals x, or x equals 4. Okay. So we've got the point 4, 0 is a solution to the first graph. Now, if x is 0, I get y equals 2 times 0 minus 8. Y is negative 8. So right there, I have 2 ordered pairs. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my WebAssign screen. And recall, I'm going to click on this till it's blue. I want the line. I don't want the ray or the line segment, but I want the line. I have the point 4, 0 and 0, negative 8. Okay. Now, where did that come from? That came from this inequality. It says it's greater than, but not equal to. So that means this line needs to be dashed. Okay. Any questions about that? All right. Now, also, since this equation is already solved for y, it says y is greater than, I know it's going to be above the line, but I'll go ahead and use a test point. So we use 0, 0. Okay. So if x is 0 and y is 0, we get 0 greater than 2 times 0 minus 8, 0 greater than -8. Yes, 0 is greater than -8. So we're going to graph the origin, which would be above the line. So I'm going to say it's above. Okay. And so going back here, I know this is confusing going back and forth like this. We want to fill above the line. Okay. So that is the graph of y greater than 2x minus 8. So we're halfway done. Any questions there? All right, let's take a look at the second inequality. So we'll go back to my whiteboard screen. And I'm going to consider y equals -x minus 2. To find the x-intercept, set y equal to 0. 0 equals -x minus 2. Add x to both sides, x equals -2. To find the y-intercept, x is 0, so y is -0 minus 2, y is -2. So there's two ordered pairs I can use to graph the second line. Okay, so we'll go back to the WebAssign screen and start with a new graph. And I've got -2, 0, and 0, -2. Okay. This says y is greater than or equal to, so it includes equal to, so we want this second line to be solid. Okay. Now, notice what happened. When I put that line on there, my shading for that first line disappeared. Not to worry, we're going to come back to that. Now, recall the shading for the dotted line was above. Okay, let's find the shading for the solid line. So let's go back here. And again, I'm going to use 0, 0 on this. So 0 greater than or equal to -0 minus 2. 0 is greater than or equal to -2. Yes, it is. So basically, let's see here. 0, 0 is a solution to both of them, isn't it? Okay, so now for the dotted line, it would be these two. This one, let's see here. Let me show you. It would be those two. Okay. For the solid line, it would be those two. But where do they overlap? In that place right there. Do you see that? I wish that they could put it in different colors and stuff, but this is the solution for the dotted line, and this is the solution for the solid line. So that's the solution for both. That's where they overlap. Is everybody okay with that? Let's see if it's correct. And it is. All righty. Any questions about that example? Okay, let's do one more here in WebAssign. Let's see, let's find one that has not nice numbers. Yeah. Let's do that one. Okay. What I mean by not nice numbers is we'll have some ordered pairs that are fractions, so I can reinforce what I talked about yesterday, going in and changing the coordinates. Okay, so we've got 2x minus 3y greater than 0 and 2x plus 3y greater than or equal to 10. Okay. So back to the whiteboard. 2x minus 3y less than 0. So I'm going to consider the equation 2x minus 3y equals 0. I'm going to find a couple of ordered pairs. If y is 0, 2x minus 3 times 0 equals 0. 2x equals 0, divide by 2x equals 0. Oh, interesting. If x is 0, 2 times 0 minus 3y equals 0. Negative 3y equals 0, divide by negative 3y equals 0. Oh, so there's a situation. Since the graph goes through the origin, if I use the x and y intercepts, I only get 1 point. So I'm going to have to choose another value of x or y. Tell you what, let's let x equal 3 and see what happens. If x is 3, we get 2 times 3 minus 3y equals 0. 6 minus 3y equals 0. Add 3y to both sides. 6 equals 3y, divide by 3, and y equals 2. So that's just redundant. So I've got those two ordered pairs. Okay. Any questions? All right, so we'll go back to the WebAssign screen, and we've got 0, 0, and 3, 2. Okay, now my scale is in 2s, so 3, 2 is right about there. Let's go make sure I've got 0, 0, and 3, 2. Great. Okay, also, notice this inequality doesn't actually include equal to. So my line is going to be dashed. All right. Well, we've got another problem. This line goes through the origin. So I'm going to have to pick a test point other than 0, 0. Okay. How about, let's see, let's pick, how about 6, 8? Let's try that, 6, 8. Okay. Because that's certainly not on the line. So we're going to go back here. And I'm going to try the 0.68. Okay, so I'm going to put that in here. So I've got 2 times 6 minus 3 times 8 less than 0. 12 minus 24 less than 0. Negative 12 is less than 0. So 6, 8 is correct. So we're going to graph, it's going to be above. Okay, I'm going to put a little arrow here. So it's above that line. I'm going to go back here and fill above. Okay, so that is the graph of 2x minus 3y less than 0. Okay, any questions there? All right, let's go back and look at the other inequality. So we're going to consider 2x plus 3y equals 10. If x is 0, I get 2 times 0 plus 3y equals 10. 3y equals 10. Y equals 10 thirds. Okay. If x is 0, I get, oh, wait a second. Oh, you know what I did? I messed up here, didn't I? I put 0 in for x instead of y. Okay, hang on. Don't panic. I shall fix this. Let's go back here. All right. I must have looked at the wrong one. So let's find the x-intercept when y is 0. Okay, so 2x plus 3 times 0 equals 10. 2x equals 10. Divide by 2x is 5. Sorry about that. Okay. Now, let's find the y-intercept when x is 0, which is what I did incorrectly a minute ago. 2 times 0 plus 3y equals 10. 3y equals 10. Divide by 3, y equals 10 thirds. Okay. We all right with that?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going to plot those two ordered pairs for my second inequality line. And so get that. Let's see. X is 5, Y is 0. So I think that's right about there, but I'm going to double check them in a minute. X is 0, Y is 10/3. 10/3 would be what? 3 1/3, which is going to be right about there. Okay, now this second inequality includes equals, so it's going to be a solid line. But let's go back here. My first point was supposed to be 5, 0. My second point was supposed to be 0, 10/3. So now I'm going to fix it 10/3. Okay, see how I did that? All right. Now, I already determined that the first inequality, the graph was above the dotted line. Remember back here, we put in this test point and it determined it was above it. So that means that would have been, let's see here, here and here, right? That would have been for the dotted line, okay? But now let's look at the solid line one. And, oh, I can use 0, 0 for that one, can't I? For the solid line, because 0, 0 is not on the solid line, okay? In fact, let's just do this. Let's just kind of do this in our head here. If X is 0 and Y is 0, what's 2 times 0?
0.
Plus 3 times 0.
What was that?
3 times 0.
0.
What's 0 plus 0?
0.
Is 0 greater than or equal to 10?
No.
No. So here, we just kind of in our head used 0, 0 as a test point for the black line, solid line, excuse me, there. And it didn't work. So that means that for this solid line here, it would be here and here. Okay. So for the solid line, it's those two. For the dotted line, it's those two. So where would it be for both of them? Again, it would be this piece right here, wouldn't it? That's where they overlap.
Yeah.
Did I lose anybody there? I just went ahead and did the test point without switching back to the other thing because I know that gets confusing. Let's see if this one's correct. And it is. But notice we had to get everything correct. We have a solid line here, a dotted line there, correct fill. We had to go in and manually put in 10/3. And again, you've got to use an improper fraction. That's 3 1/3. Let's see what happens if I put in 3 1/3. 3, it looks like 31/3, doesn't it? Well, what if I leave a space? 3 space, oh, it won't let me. So basically, stick with improper fractions when you're putting numbers in rather than mixed numbers. All right, any questions on that? Okay, well, that's all I've got for you today. So for tonight, they're going to do 4.5, and that will be due no later than tomorrow night. I'll be back at 1:15 with my office hour. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.